Where are you from?
I am from Kennesaw, Georgia. I went to North Cobb High School and then to Spelman College for political science.
And what was it like growing up in Kennesaw, Georgia?
Kennesaw was a very whitewashed experience of America. We moved out there because it was top 10 safest places to like raise your child in America back in the day. And I think it was pretty true. Like I had no idea about racism or police brutality or anything like that until I got into the world.
And so were the majority of your peers?
Definitely white, and then my mother is adopted, so my grandparents are white, and they adopted like 30 kids from around the world on some crazy, beautiful manifest destiny type thing. Yeah.
Okay, and so how did being adopted into essentially Caucasian family, how did that influence your perception of the world at that age?
It was a combination of like my environment and my education system and my peer group that made me think that my viewpoint of the world was that of the ruler. So I kind of always felt like no matter what, I was on top because I was aware. But, you know, in reality, I really wasn't.
And so you're saying that you had sort of like a viewpoint from what would be considered like the dominant, the
oppressor, like that's, I still consider myself a Republican. Like I can make it make sense for why somebody of that position would make certain decisions, but we're still looking for humanity.
Oh, are you a political person?
I am. So my studies and my background was largely focused in political science. I wanted to be a lawyer. Yeah, that was the dream.
What are your political affiliations?
I don't vote at all, but I just have like a Republican leaning. I consider myself like fiscally responsible, but liberally liberated.
Okay. Well, I don't want to be unfair, so I'll say that I'm not aligned with any party, so.
Okay, I mean, no worries.
I don't want to just make it so you're like spilling out your.
And I mean, I've always been pretty like staunch about my opinions. It is what it is.
And what made you adopt this Republican leaning?
I believe in limited government. I believe that who we sleep with, what kind of business we do, how we make our money should be really on our own. Who we worship, that should be that of the citizens. But of course, we need calming rules and guidelines so we can function as a country, and that's cool. But limited government, big money, Trump money.
And so, like, but you wouldn't like go out and actively vote Republican. Is what you're saying?
Not currently, unless I had somebody that I really believed in. But I don't participate in the system. Like, definitely go Stacey Abrams, Spelman Sis, all that support. But it's kind of where I stop.
Okay. Do you come from a creative family?
I come from kind of like a split. My father was a chef, or is a chef, and then my mom was like a track dancer, but now she does like operations and project management. So I guess like creative that was able to filter themselves.
And so would you say that your father is more on the creative side?
Yeah, like I'm definitely my father. I think about my personality and who I relate to. He's more of the whimsical, kind of carefree, do what you want to do, run to the beat of your own drum type of person. Yeah.
So at what point did you become interested in fashion in general?
I got the fashion from my mother. My mother is the flyest lady I could ever care to know. She taught me poise, she taught me decency, she taught me my whole demeanor on how to carry myself and how to put looks together. She dressed me for maybe up until 3rd grade, and I decided I wanted to take over and I could be my own fly girl, and she just always supported my flyness in that. For example, I was a big thrifter in school. So in middle school, she bought me a sewing machine so I could really make the clothes that I thrifted to fit me, and that's kind of where everything got started.
Okay. Do you like to read?
I love to read.
You like Omar Tyree?
I might be unfamiliar.
You said Fly Girl. He wrote that book.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like where the term started to start popping. He was I don't know if it was a movie. He's trying to make it a movie, but he is like a prominent African American author. Started popping in the 90s with Fly Girl, which is about fly chick.
Really? Okay, I have to look into that. Thank you for that.
The cover is crazy. Okay, and so your mother like sort of informed like aesthetically who you are, and your father informed like who you are inside. Would you say? Okay,
that's pretty deep. Yeah, we can go for that.
You said that. No, that's what you said. Okay, and then so at what point did you start making clothes for other people? Like, was there a process?
So like I said, I got it for thrifting and to kind of just make my clothes fit me better. Then I started cutting everything up and making things fit me just specifically. When I got to college, I went to Spelman. Morehouse was right next door. The guys always needed their suits tailored. And that's kind of what started me taking it a little bit more seriously as a business for other people for the alterations.
Oh, okay. So you started more with like a technical focus. Okay.
And that just really taught me like straight lines and like how clothes work and how it's supposed to fit a human, like how to take something apart and put it back together, how to take it in, how to let it out, just kind of those basic sewing practices, because I'm completely self-taught. And then from there, I started evolving into doing people's birthday outfits and little things like that. But it's always kind of been like my passion, so I have to like love the project before I jump onto it.
And so did you make that a business, or was it like something like this solo you were doing in your dorm?
Right before I graduated college, I started having a whole like midlife crisis. I dove into like an entrepreneurial, so midlife, like I'm about to graduate, I'm about to get in the world. Do I want to go to school? Do I want to go to law school for 3 more years and hope to have it after that? Who knows that the world was going to close down. So the pandemic just kind of gave me a lot of time as well, just to focus on my craft and the joy and the freedom I get from sewing and creating my own things. Yeah.
Did you get your bag off those masks?
A little bit, but not really. I have this thing against mass production. So everything I make is one of one, custom. I'll never make the same thing twice.
I went crazy off the mask.
I know you did.
I was like, yo, these people are about to be, but they were all handmade though.
Yeah?
I didn't mass produce them, no. I was just working a lot.
How many do you think you made?
I wouldn't say too crazy. Maybe like, how many masks? Oh. Like 1,000, 2,000.
Okay.
But it wasn't just me, it was me and someone else who knew how to sew.
You and 2 people, that's still pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was about.
I got a spring collection, I know who to call.
For masks?
No, for bikinis. I think I want to mass produce something for once, right? But yeah, bikinis.
Okay, I like that. I used to be into fabric.
Okay.
Like printing my own fabrics. Yeah, I had a shop. It was called Jane Station. That's how I moved into the mask, because I already had the fabric.
Really? Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, that was just like a straight win-win. You already had it.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
And so after you started like tailoring and you learned like all these technical aspects, how did you switch from there, which seems like more so like, what did you call it, couture? You're like making it for, okay.
Absolutely.
How did you switch from there to commercial fashion?
I met an older gentleman, an amazing man by the name of Gentleman Jim. He is like the tailor from, he dressed everybody from like the 1980s on, and he has a shop in Atlanta, a warehouse, a manufacturer in Atlanta. And he took me on as a student after I begged and pleaded with him, and he really got my craft together. So like what used to take me 2 days to do, I could do in an hour now, and things like that. So that helped me streamline. Partnering with other designers was always helpful as well. I got into West Side Guns kind of operation and Griselda. I was able to help make a lot of his t-shirts and merchandise under Yagita Sensei, another amazing dope sensei or designer that led me through a lot of this world.
And so do you feel like having sort of a mentor is necessary in fashion?
Necessary is a really big word. Like, I don't like to follow too many designers. I don't like to be on too many other people's bandwagon because I don't want that to interrupt the authenticity of my craft and what my eye is producing. I don't want anybody to ever be like, oh, you were around me, so now you're making your clothes like this type of thing. But networking is necessary. Getting yourself out there, combining, collaborating. But true mentorship in a creative space, in my opinion, isn't really necessary. Like, my big salutes to Gentleman Jim, big salutes to Yagita, but they didn't make or break me. Yeah.
Do you feel like in the current state of fashion now that things can be made that are unique, or is it more so about like the act of show? For example, like the Kanye West White Lives Matter t-shirt, which was a basic, you know what I'm saying, screen print shirt, versus like a whole, like, I don't know, like Jack Moose exhibit, like, but one gets more acclaim than the other. Like, what do you think?
So that's when fashion starts to move into like the political nature of art. So when we're talking about Kanye and the White Lives Matter shirt, he's on a different trajectory. He's on a different plan. He's kind of like, he made his goals, he got everything he wanted, and now he wants a certain freedom that he has to backtrack everything to honestly get, because he already gave everything already. I'm still in the fashion phase of just wanting everything to look pretty. My fashion isn't very political, but more so just statement pieces. But there's certain things that I can align with, like I use a lot of like native African fabrics. I really like tribal prints, and I like being very strategic on who I place those in. I just don't sell or give my clothes to just anybody.
How do you feel about ownership?
Ownership is very, very important for an entrepreneur at any level of business or anything you're trying to do. Specifically though with fashion, it's one of those spaces where you can't really copyright your design. Like, fashion is fashion. Somebody can make it over, mass produce it, and that's what it is. So what you have to do in that case is continue to innovate, continue to invent, and continue to collaborate, because you can't be an island in fashion. But ownership in business, as much as you can keep 100% of your business, please keep 100% of your business, like boss rule number 1.
Would you be interested in partnering with like a major fashion investor?
I would, but I have to maintain creative control. Yeah, vision is important.
What was the inspiration behind your brand? Like the name, the aesthetics?
So Mahagony Original is inspired by my alter ego, Madame Donna. She is your out loud, head thrown back, big steps, back straight type of woman with these clothes that you've never seen before. An intergalactic Barbie, like sexy but very, very, very poised. And that's like for the women. On the men, I have a line called Humane, Huemane, and that's like leather and denim reworked, upcycled fashion, things like this. Like, this is a old denim jacket that I just added all my love into.
No, I love that jacket.
Thank you.
And so, since it seems to me like you do a lot of like cut and sew work.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about fast fashion and its impact on the world?
It's hurtful. It's toxic.
Really?
It's killing the planet.
Where do you get this money?
That's all. When I think about like the levels to PETA, like fuck PETA, I definitely wear fur, but fuck fast fashion, like that's taking way more of a toll than a bear or two.
So once you start going to like mass producing your garments, what do you?
Hopefully pulling from recyclable fabrics and sources, and then also locally producing and manufacturing. I'm not really trying to have my stuff made across the seas in China, and I want to be hands-on with my manufacturing, so I just don't lose that handmade touch in my items.
Do you feel like having like short runs or not like huge runs? Do you feel like that would impact your bottom line because of how short people's like minds are now? So for example, they wear a top this week, they're not going to wear the top next week. It's not like, in 1920, like people made clothes that you could wear for months or years on end.
I'm not like Levi's, and I'm not trying to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, you wear my piece to the Met Gala, and then you put it on the shelf for 20 years, and then you take it out when it's time. Not everything is for every day.
And why did you choose to go this route, sort of?
Kind of the harder route, kind of like the longer route, but when I look back at the work I produce, and I know that everybody has a piece that's their own Mahagony original, that I just stay true to my brand, and it allows me just to take every project as a whole new creative direction. Like, I take in that person's personality, what I want to see them in, how I want to see them in, the superhero that they might be able to be when they put on my clothes.
What's been the most challenging aspect of your fashion career?
I would say, maybe staying motivated in a social media driven world. Yeah, I don't want to blame COVID, but COVID kind of took a couple, a year or two off the story, but it also gave me the time to like hone in on my skills. I don't know if that answered the question.
So you feel like you're not a big social media person?
Not probably how I would like to be. When I think social media, I think management for somebody else's business, and so that's something that I kind of like assign somebody to do. But with this being like my baby of a company, like I'm just so sensitive about my art and what I'm putting out to the world and what I'm allowing to get feedback into and what I can actually consider a piece finished. Like, maybe that's the biggest challenge for me. It's really hard for me to finish a piece.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm pretty extroverted. I enjoy my alone time, of course, but I do get energy from interacting and pumping through people.
What's been the most memorable moment in your fashion career?
I was able to design a couple of outfits for an artist, and she met Erykah Badu and was like backstage with her, and all of Erykah's essence was on my clothes, and she was just talking about how much she loved the fits, and yeah, definitely the Badu stamp was all I needed.
Wait, so did you wash the clothes?
No, never.
After she gave them back, you didn't wash them?
That's just gonna stay up in my sewing room, just on the mannequin forever. Like, there's still glitter on it.
What does it smell like? Sage?
And just like holiness and pure and alien, like all that great stuff.
For someone who aspires to do what you do, what advice would you have for them?
I would say, truthfully, go to fashion school if you can find it and afford it. The way they set it up will put you on a whole completely other trajectory a lot quicker than maybe somebody that's grinding out here on their own. they have the platforms for you to do it by yourself. Some people really find getting up off like the viral stuff, but then again, that's like fast fashion. That's like you lose your authenticity and the quality in trying to keep up with like the hype. But the tailoring of school and a formal education, I'll never put aside.